What's up, everybody? It's Rel, and Honkai Star Rail just dropped their new drip marketing for what I can only assume is going to be the 1.6 character cast. We're going to go ahead and take a look at all of these characters, and I'll let you guys know my thoughts on whether or not you should be saving for or pooling for any of these characters, who they're going to be appropriate for as far as like what your playstyle is, yada yada, all that. Let's go ahead and hop into them, starting with the brand new 4-star Xueyi, apologies if I'm pronouncing that wrong, a Quantum Destruction character. Now let me go ahead and get this out of the way first. I can only assume that Xueyi will be rated up on one of the 5-star character banners, but I do not think, if you don't want a limited 5-star, I really don't think it's ever worth pooling for a 4-star character. Although they may be rated up, it doesn't mean that they are guaranteed. We always see 3 rate up 4 stars on these limited 5-star character banners, and you don't always get the one that you want. I've seen instances where people have gotten multiple copies of the 5-star before they've ever gotten the 4-star. So although I do think Xueyi is going to be a cool unit, I think Quantum is a really nice element that's in the game. And then Sela, Xing being the DPSs of that category so far, having a destruction unit where it really feels like destruction is the superior of the damage dealing paths will be good. There's always the chance that we could have an event where you can get a copy for free after the limited banner expires. They're going to be added to the standard character character pool where you can get it off standard banner. You could accidentally get them off of a future limited character banner or even a Lycone banner. So do I think she's going to be worth pooling for? I do think she'll be good, but pooling for, I'm going to go ahead and say nah, unless you really want the 5-star that is also, accompanying her on that banner. Then yeah, fingers crossed, hopefully you get a copy or two, but I wouldn't just straight up pool for Xueyi, although I do expect that, her kit and her playstyle will presumably be pretty good. Moving down the list, Dr. Ratio. I know we got a lot of feral HSR enjoyers out there after seeing the muscly math man. I do think his character design is awesome. The thing that I'll say about pulling for Dr. Ratio, it is a Hunt imaginary 5-star unit. And if you do not have DHIL, Dan Heng and Baider Lune, this might be a really good option to go for. My stance on pulling in general, though, is always pull for characters that you like, whether you like them in the lore, you like their aesthetics, you like, that it's a husbando. I pull for those reasons first and foremost. But if you're trying to make a well-rounded team comp and you didn't get DHIL, I'm going to assume that Dr. Ratio will be able to fill that DPS slot in a mono imaginary team, or as close to a mono imaginary team as you can. Surely he will pair well with Yukong, who we had an opportunity to get for free, who may be rated up again in the future, and maybe you've already got some copies of Yukong laying around. Do I think you need E6 Yukong to maximize her? No, not at all. Do I think it makes her convenient? Sure, but do you need that E6? No. So if you've got a Yukong that you can partner with Dr. Ratio, if you happen to have a Lucha, if you happen to have a Welt, I'm sure that they will all pair well with Dr. Ratio the same way that DHIL does. You're not going to get, we'll see what kind of damage output that you get, but given that, again, I do think that Destruction, at least at this point in the game, has been the superior damage dealing path. I don't know that Hunt will be able to keep up with Destruction simply off of the single target based off versus AoE, but I can only assume that it'll be a solid character and hopefully pretty interesting, hopefully a character that we'll enjoy in the lore. He is a member of the Intelligentsia Guild. That's a faction that we really haven't dove too much into just yet. So do I think he's going to be worth pulling for? If you need a good DPS unit, if you want to build a mono imaginary comp, then yeah, I think he'll be solid. But the crown jewel of this drip marketing has got to be Ruan Mei. This is our first limited Harmony character, and if we look at the history, if we look at the stats, so to speak, of how good the limited version of characters in certain paths have been versus the standard version, it seems like the limiteds are always better. The closest ones being probably Clara and Destruction. I do think that she gets outclassed by DHIL and Jingliu, but she is a very solid unit. I also think that Welt is a great Nihility character, but I really do think that Silverwolf and Kafka both outclass there. And then I don't even think this is a controversial take here, but Fu Xuan is an extremely good preservation unit over somebody like Japard, and then Lucha is extremely good over somebody like Bailu. So now that we're getting our first limited harmony character, people already hold Bronya in high regard. I don't think it would be unusual that if you ask 10 people who the best standard character is, or standard 5-star character specifically, that they would say Bronya. I feel like that's a pretty common opinion held by a lot of the HSR fan base. So if Ruan Mei is going to continue the trend where the limiteds are outperforming the standard version of that path, she's going to be incredible. I think she's probably going to be one of the better characters that we've seen. I just mentioned Silverwolf, Lucha, and Fu Xuan. In my opinion, those three are the most valuable units as far as what they can bring to your team. And Ruan Mei could hop into that big three. She might be able to knock one off of that podium stand. She may just be adding a fourth pedestal to that stand, if you will. But yeah, I think Ruan Mei is going to end up being the best character out of this bunch. Whether they're coming in 1.6 or not, still yet to be seen. I don't like to look at any leaks or spoils or anything like that. So until Honkai Star Rail Hoyoverse comes out and says, hey, these characters are releasing at X date, I'm not gonna, put all my eggs in a basket and assume, hey, I'm saving for 1.6. Maybe they get bumped up. We haven't had the 1.5 live stream yet. Maybe they get delayed. But I do think that Ruan Mei will definitely be worth your time. Again, if you don't like her aesthetic, if you don't like the play style of Harmony characters, if you don't give a squirt about her in the lore, then maybe you skip, But from a meta perspective, I really do think that she will be good. And I think the aesthetics are great. I personally love the Genius Society. So having another Genius Society member being available to add to my roster of characters, I'm personally stoked about, but that's just my opinion. Let me know what you guys think. Which of these characters you're most excited for? Are you skipping 1.5 now? The presumed Huopo, Argenti, and Hanya? Are you still going for one of them? Let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments, and I will see you guys in the next video.